Throughout time, many writers have seemingly predicted the way our society would evolve. They wrote books about how it would become more restrictive, be more controlled, essentially becoming a dictatorship disguised as a free world. The question remains, however, who exactly are these visionaries such as Orwell, and how did they acquire such knowledge?
He was, by all accounts, an extremely nice guy. He worked for the BBC for quite a long time. He produced over, I think it was 125 shows for them. Interviewed some real top people, some really interesting people for that show, for his shows. Strangely, no record of his voice exists, even though he worked for the BBC for all that time. One of the reasons for that is because his throat was damaged in the Spanish Civil War. So his voice was slightly strange. What was he doing in the Spanish Civil War? A lot of very clever people got involved in the Spanish Civil War, which was, and can be proven to be, led by Freemasons. George Orwell was one of the guys involved there. So involved that he got his throat shot.
Nightmare born from the prettiest dreams. Millions of people trying to get on the scene, and everyone's selling their souls. Everyone's selling it. Everyone's saying they want, but they sleepwalking, dead eyes closed. LA Monster. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Lord, save these people.
This group embraces what is known as the esoteric, the so-called spiritual truth hidden from the rest of us. Over a vast period of time, this secretive organisation turned slowly to the dark side of these esoteric truths and utilised them for power and control. They take their orders from the International Secret Council of Nine. They are collectively called the Confederation of Initiates. They are under the strict control of their masters, and to oppose them means punishment worse than death. It has been this way for thousands of years, and they are working slowly but surely, towards their ultimate goal of a one world government, with the Nine in control. They called mankind to join them. Anybody who did not was obviously not listening to the voice of the universal spirit within them. Those who heard the call and joined were chosen, special. Similar doctrines we would hear again at the dawn of the Second World War.
Possessed the German nation.
Man, they said, was not part of God, nor a creation of God, but the universal intelligence or cosmic spirit itself. They are secret, spread throughout the world, originated religions, and saw their origin in the illumination of the mind, from philosophy to psychology. They therefore believed they had the right to rule the world, and over time they used their knowledge to force and manipulate their control over those who refused to see the light. They were right, everybody else was wrong, and their own doctrines stated such, and gave them the right, power, and knowledge to manipulate man. They plan and scheme and throw up congressmen, senators and presidents and place them where they are needed. Through the vast wealth and media power, they manipulate the masses to carry out that fakery they call democracy. Their ultimate goal, they say, is to control all the world under the power and authority of the hidden masters and to reign over a world of peace. Their men and women are in the highest offices of the land. All listen to the Master's voice, talking to them through the eons of mysticism in a political world of power. Next time you cast your vote, just ask yourself why you bother. You are given two choices, as always. Left or right, it does not matter. Both are under the yoke of the masters.
We have in Australia, sadly, a compromise at the highest of levels. So, having produced a set of documents to the Royal Commission, which includes, disturbingly, documents that name in one document 28 people as alleged pedophiles, includes a whole lot of prominent people, and I think to protect the discretion of the Royal Commission, I won't comment on what the Commission thought, except that they thought it was outside the terms of reference of the Royal Commission. Could you explain to me why that is so?
Lucky girl, she got married to a boy like you. She'd kick you out if she ever knew. But all the
You belong in hell. Sam Smith belongs in hell.
You demonic, twisted, sick bastard! Leave the kids alone, you sick!
First record.
Sam Smith is a pedophile!
Sam, thank you. You are a true angel and hero in my life, and I love you. And everyone who made the song, too. I love you guys so much. Sam graciously wanted me to accept this award because I'm the first transgender woman to win this award. and I'm so... Thank you.
It's come to my attention that a public school in Adelaide has developed a point system rewarding students for their woke actions, and I've got the document to prove it. Under this woke social credit system, 5 points are awarded to a student who's seen to be, and I quote, apologising and correcting themselves or someone else for using incorrect pronouns, or challenging racial and sexual or homophobic language or actions, and even authentically using an acknowledgement of country before a presentation in class. Now remember, it's got to be authentic. None of these half-hearted welcomes to country for these schools. Now in a public school, students spend around 6 hours a day with an activist curriculum which coaches them into gender dysphoria, hatred of white people, excessive self-awareness about their so-called privilege. Now, if your child in South Australia decides they want to switch genders thanks to a video they saw on TikTok, the school may even encourage them to pursue the path of puberty blockers against your wishes. That's in the SA Department of Education's own documents. And to top it off, this particular school penalises non-compliance with this social credit system. It's clear our public education system no longer educates children, but brainwashes them in the hope of shaping them into activists. The Marxists are moving into the next stage of their craven operation. They're doubling down on capturing our children and developing the next generation of child woke soldiers.
You tell me that you do, dirty, dirty boy. You know everyone is talking on the scene. I hear them whispering about the places that you've been and how you don't know how to keep your business clean. Mom it out now, daddy's getting out at the body shop, doing something unholy. He's that back while she's dropping it. She be popping it, yeah, she put it down slowly. Oh, we go, he left his kids out. Oh, we go, so we can get that. Mom it out now, daddy's getting out at the body shop, doing something unholy.
Daddy, daddy, if you wanna drop the addy, give me love, give me Fendi, my Balenciaga daddy. You gon' bag it up, cause I'm spending on rodeo. You can watch me back it up, I'll be gone in the AM. And he gave me Prada, gave me Miu Miu like Rihanna. He always call me cause I never cause no drama.
And when you want it, baby, I know I got you covered. And when you need it, baby, just jump under the covers. Yeah.
MasterCard and the United Nations are joining forces to monitor the carbon effect of your credit card purchases. And then you'll hit your carbon max and it'll stop working. Hey, of course it's voluntary for now. The new credit card is called Doconomy. And on the back of the card, it's going to say, I am taking responsibility for every transaction I make to help protect the planet. This is a social credit score, and it's a proof of concept. The Doconomy CO2 credit card website claims it is the largest initiative ever taken by a bank in educating its users on the impact of consumption. They say themselves they want to set a global standard for carbon calculations. That's the key. Once they have their numbers in place, then they can give every single purchase you make a score and punish you directly. This is what China does. And of course, this will only be enforced on you and me and any businesses that don't go along with their scheme. And banks are going to enforce it.
Imagine if everywhere you went, someone was watching you and judging your every move, giving you points for doing good things and taking them away when you mess up or just eat too many chips. That's a very real situation here in China, except maybe not the chips thing. There are around 200 million cameras throughout the country, and the government's looking at using technology like facial recognition, body scanning and geo-tracking matched with personal data to keep tabs on people all the time, in real life and online. It's called the social credit system, and all of those points add up or down to an overall score. And that score has some very real impacts on what citizens here can and can't do. Chinese authorities have used it to ban more than 7 million people who are considered untrustworthy from boarding flights, and 3 million from riding on high-speed trains.
Dear passengers, people who travel without tickets or behave disorderly or smoke in public areas will be punished according to regulations, and the behavior will be recorded in the individual credit information system. To avoid any negative record of personal credit, please follow the relevant regulations and help with the orders on the train and at the station.
For your good personal credit, please obey relevant national laws and regulations of the railway company. Please don't smoke on the CR8 train. Thank you for your cooperation.
Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
The People's Commune will be the bridge that will carry China towards the socialist paradise. The Commune experimented with a completely new way of life. All private property was abolished. Houses, animals, land and production tools became collective property. Nurseries and free, compulsory schools liberated women from their maternal duties so they could work in the fields. The family unit disappeared, and children were made to live by the new rules of collective life. The individual was nothing more than a cog in a big machine.
The furniture was seized for firewood, and everything that could be destroyed was destroyed. The pigs, the sheep, everything was collectivized. Even the pots and pans were seized because families weren't allowed to cook.
The aim was to force the peasants to take their meals in the commune's collective canteens. In some of them, they even abolished money. A system of work points was established. Food was distributed according to merit, i.e., each person's capacity to fulfill the production objectives. The notion of wages disappeared.
It was compulsory to turn up every day. If your name wasn't on the attendance list, you were punished and you lost work points. The fewer work points you earned, the less food they gave you. Oh, it was miserable. I can tell you that life was brutal for everyone at that time, except the cadres. Those people lived well.
From 1958 onwards, The cities are quite literally protected from the countryside. People are not allowed to just move about freely. A farmer who brings a cow to the market will need to travel with a permit from his local cadre. People who try to flee the countryside are sent back.
如今你在那座城市里，抛开我是否一切都如意。当你想起曾经那些甜蜜，有没有一秒想过？
I have 2 words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming. You think I'm joking?
Catherine, tell me, why should people watch the press conference tomorrow?
There's no more important issue affecting people today than the use of tricks and inversion to sabotage the rule of law in country after country. So if you are a person, you're busy, you're raising kids, you need to still know about this, because what is happening is very quietly a group of unaccountable people are going into a room and coming up with a change in rules that they are going to try and implement, an overturning of every constitution and every legal framework in many, many countries around the world. And if that is allowed to happen, literally all the rights and protections we've enjoyed living under the rule of law instead of tyranny by unaccountable forces we will lose essentially everything that we've ever enjoyed in the Western world. So this is the end of Western liberty, and it cannot be permitted, and it's going to have a major impact. When the World Economic Forum says it's 2030 and you have no assets and you're happy, what I hear it's 2030, we've stripped you of your assets and you're mind controlled.
Since the satanic and paedophilic elite see that their genocidal objectives are not moving forward at the rate they had hoped, because the population is waking up and exposing them, they want to destroy the global economy in order to deliver the final blow, which will involve a system of total control, designed to enslave the population.
What do you mean the bank is out of money? Insolvent? You only have enough cash for the next 3 customers! Hey, what's
Just a second here. No, I don't have your money here. It's in Bill's house and Fred's house.
Hey, what the hell you doing with my money in your house, Fred?
First, they will start by launching it as something optional, via our non-mandatory digital currency, having numerous supposed benefits. We will be told, for instance, that no one can rob us using this system, or that our currency will not be devalued, since they claim this method will prevent the economic system from collapsing. In reality, however, it will be associated with a QR code, and, above all, with social credit, just like they're doing in China, with a totally subjugated and enslaved population. Social credit is a score each citizen will be given, for supposedly good behavior, and points will be awarded to people based on their obedience to the system. However, anything people do that is not in accordance with specific dispositions, with the system itself, or with what governments want to do, will immediately be docked points in their social credit wallet. This means that if a person goes below a certain score, they will no longer be able to travel by plane, train, or bus, depending on how low their score goes. As you lose points, you lose rights. They will even take away your car and your driver's license, and then they will take you to a concentration camp, following the very same rules now in force in China. People will be monitored in depth and monitored 24 hours a day to know where they are at all times.
Any who did not listen were simply negatives. The world would be dominated by the Illuminati. This Russian was just another mystic shouting about the so-called truth. No scientific backing, no evidence, no proof was needed for such mystic statements. He was, however, a member of an organisation that was trying to enlighten the world to their new world order. Their light would shine and others be extinguished.
Heaven knows that I've been told, paid for the life that I chose. If I could, I'd trade it all, trade it for a halo. Yeah, she said that you'll pray for me. I said it's too late for me, 'cause I think it's safe to say this ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. No ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. Valhalla's where all the righteous are led. Mulholland's where all the damned will be kept. Devil on my lap and a cross on my neck. Cross on my neck. Cross on my neck. Over 45, I'ma drift on a bend. Do a $120, I'ma fly off the edge. Everybody said it would hurt in the end. Hurt in the end. But I feel nothing. She said that you'll pray for me. I said it's too late for me, 'cause I think it's safe to say this ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. No ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. Angels are singing in monasteries. Yeah. My soul is burning in love Ferraris. All the sorry, all the sorry. Halos are given to ordinary lives. No, but this ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary life. This ain't ordinary.